Usually, being a JRPG protagonist comes with some perks, and a lot of plot armor. Ramza is not an exception. You could even argue that he's one of the more overtuned characters as far as game mechanics of Final Fantasy Tactics goes. But his toolkit is not broken in the usual way, and that enables some really stupid builds for our boy wonder here. So let's take a look at one of them. As usual, let's start with raw stats. Ramza gets a protagonist buff and has the starting physical attack value of male unit with the starting magical attack value of female unit. Also, his bravery and fate starts at 70. That makes him a great canvas for any build, but the designer seems to want the player to take a spellcasting route. At least that's what I think when I take a look at his special version of Squire Job, later upgrade to Gallant Knight. The only things that are average in this job are physical attack growth rate and basic evasion of 10%. All versions of Ramza's job have above average speed and magical attack growth rate, while being consistent with great HP and MP modifiers. Of course, he also has movement 4. But his skill set is more important. It's practically designed for abuse of game mechanics. Important disclaimer first. I know Ramza's abilities are unlocked to learn on a chapter by chapter basis, but I'm gonna go over them from the chapter 4 point of view. With that out of the way, let's start from the top of the list, with Focus. It's a very good early game ability that just boosts Ramza's physical attack by 1 for the duration of the battle. It's not as broken as it seems, because we have even more broken options down the line, but there's a big chance you'll be using this in chapters 1 to 3. Rush is kind of a meme. Damage formula is just random value from 1 to 4 times physical attack, but is not evadable, so in some cases it can actually be used to secure a kill. But that's it. Throw Stone, on the other hand, is a meme with a minimal amount of utility. Its range of damage is even smaller, with just physical attack times 1 or 2, but it has range 4. Salve can actually be somehow useful. Poison, blindness and silence are annoying to deal with, and having an option to target yourself with this can be a boon for spellcaster Ramza, since this skill can be used while silenced. Now it's time for probably the most abused ability in the game, Tailwind. Instant, range 3, provides +1 speed for the battle duration. Not only extremely powerful in normal combat, but also perfect for all the job/level grinds in the game. It should be the first thing you learn from his skills. Chant is, in my opinion, an okay skill. You can heal someone in desperate times, but it's more useful as a JP generation action, since regardless of HP of the target, Ramza will lose his own HP, so the action will gain your GP. Still, if memory serves me correctly, is unlocked in chapter 2, and is quite broken in terms of mechanics. Each use of it will increase the target's bravery by 5 points for the duration of the battle. And since temporal increases of bravery and fate are translated to permanent increases on 4:1 ratio, will also bump units out of combat bravery value by 1. A very nice tool to grind GP while boosting bravery values on your whole team. Shout, on the other hand, is broken AF. Instant use skill that boosts Ramza's bravery by 10 and speed, physical and magical attack by 1 for the duration of the battle. It is also the source of my stupid idea for this setup. But I also need to mention Ultima in detail. When playing the original release, I missed the skill, since you need to get hit by it while having Gallant Knight as your main job. So in the Ivalice Chronicles, I really wanted to learn it and play around with the rumored super ability. And, well, I'm kinda disappointed. The MP cost of 10 and cast speed of 20 are okay. It's 5 clock ticks, which is not exactly fast, but is not slow either. The problem lies in the damage formula. It's magical attack times 23, modified by casters and target fate. It is a little less than 3rd level elemental spells from black magic, or half damage of the flare if you want that comparison. The bonus of being not subject to evasion is nice, but to actually have some use from the skill you need to build Ramza as a fate-based caster. And if we do that, we have a lot better options to use for damage. Unfortunately for me, at the point of learning Ultima, my Ramza had a fate value of around 18, so the skill was useless in combat. But the animation was nice. With the breakdown done, it's time for some more, let's say, focused rambling. Ramza's toolkit strikes me as a clear signpost left by developers to build him as a typical spellblade or spellsword archetype, someone who fights with sword and magic right in the middle of the battlefield. A very well-known fantasy trope that is loved by many people. And while it is possible to build him like that, I don't think it will be much fun in terms of numbers, if you place him beside other unique units, especially on Tactician, where high fate values are an invitation for someone new from the enemy AI. With that in mind, I wanted to make something that takes the most of Ramza's high raw magical attack value, while focusing on his support skill set from Gallant Knight. And during the gameplay I have noticed that quite often I was running with Speechcraft as his second active skill, so I went in that direction. Before continuing on, time for a small detour and the breakdown of Orator as a job, or rather the Speechcraft skillset itself. For quite a number of people, Orator is considered the best honest job available, and based on the skills, they may be right. The first one on the list is already a heavy hitter. Entice applies the traitor status to the target, switching their side to your team. If the unit survives the fight, you can recruit it in the party. Seems quite OP, right? Fortunately, it's balanced by the formula of success rate, which is only magical attack plus 20. This cannot be boosted by magic boosts, so usually will not go over 35% of success rate. We'll talk about this later. For now, time to move to the next OP skill. Stall is broken. Plain and simple. It works on everything, even the final boss, and the success rate of 30 plus magical attack is quite high for the power of the effect. There's a big chance you can just stun lock the enemy with this. And after that, we have a set of 4 great skills. Brace and Preach are your best options of buffing Bravery and Fate on other units. Intimidate and Enlightened, on the other hand, reduce those 2 stats by a much larger and impactful value. A minus 20 to Fate is a quite big reduction in power for Fate-bait magic. And minus 20 Bravery not only reduces the chance of triggering reaction abilities, but also can turn target into chicken. It's not as effective as Beowulf's ability, but it's available much earlier in the game. Condemn is probably the first meh skill on the list. Doom is not exactly dangerous, not only for you, but also for the enemy. Defraud, on the other hand, is great not only for getting money, but also grinding JP on your characters. You can spill over absurd amounts by just spamming this skill. Next on the list we have Insult, an instant way of inflicting Berserk on the target. The basic success formula of magic attack plus 40 is not perfect, but it can be useful. The same can be said about Mimic Dravlon. The same formula, but it inflicts Slip instead of Berserk. All in all, it's a very powerful set of utility skills that is balanced around the raw magic attack value of the character. And I think some of you have already connected the dots between those 2 skill sets. So let's go over the actual loadout of this delightful stupidity. The stats on my Ramza are, well, you can see yourself. I have no idea how exactly his level progression went, since he was the character I used for the Learn All the Abilities achievement and to power level jobs on other characters. Let's just say he stepped on a lot of traps during the adventure. But at this time, as a Gallant Knight, he has 14 speed, 31 physical attack and 16 magical attack base, paired with 97 bravery, 3 fate, 572 HP and 191 MP. Could those numbers be better? Of course. But at this point, that's just exercise in optimizing a repetitive grind, and his skills can do the same thing when needed, with much less effort. And speaking of skills, for active skills I've set, for no surprise to anybody, Speechcraft alongside the Gallant Knight's Medal. And with that bravery value, probably everyone expected Shirahadori as a reaction, and that's right. Virtually all fights start with his bravery going to 100, so that was a really obvious choice. The same can actually be said about the support skill. Beast Tongue is a must if we want to use the power of yelling at everything correctly. And since my Ramza has all the skills unlocked, I'll put Movement +3 as his last skill. That's probably also not a surprise to anybody that watches my videos. Unfortunately, the gear portion of the loadout is also quite familiar for long-term viewers. That's just reality of the game, there aren't many options here. The accessory of choice is Septime. Haste and bonus magic attack is a perfect combination. For the body slot we have yet another appearance of Wizard's Robe. It's really hard to beat that +2 magical attack bonus. Technically speaking, Lambent Hat would be the best option for headgear. But I'm lazy and just equip Ribbon here for obvious reasons. Since Gallant Knight can equip shields and swords, the last 2 equipment slots are occupied by the great duo of Aegis Shield and Drumblade, boosting not only magical attack, but also improving defenses against magical attack with the juicy +50 evasion rate. And that brings our magical attack value to respectful 22. Having the permanent haste effect gives us also an effective 21 speed in combat, so a turn every 5 clock ticks as a baseline. So, what's the point of this BS anyway? You start the fight and start shouting at everything. Well, at ourselves, technically speaking. But each use of shout boosts our magical attack, physical attack and speed by 1. And with the game mechanics of charge time, we can probably use this ability 4 or 5 times before an enemy approaches our starting location. And then the fun begins. Entice has its success rate tied to our magic attack value, and with shout reaching, for example, 30 and that stat in combat is actually quite easy. And that will give us a 50% baseline chance of turning one enemy into an ally, who then will start fighting on our side, giving us time to convince another enemies to join our case, or just shout some more for better values. If there are some very dangerous enemies that we don't want to risk enticing and failing, we can put them to sleep or apply Berserk. With 100 bravery we're basically immune to physical attacks, thanks to Shirahadori, and can continue our cult leader cosplay by shouting and enticing everyone on the battlefield. Is this fast and effective? Absolutely not. Do I find it funny AF? Yes I do. We should have at least some fun while breaking game mechanics. This will probably be the last video in this series. At this point I think I covered everything I found interesting in the Ivalice Chronicles. So, unless Square Enix surprises us with additional content due to absurd sales numbers, time to go and break some other games. For now, drop a like to the video, sub to the channel, and wait for videos on some other systems I decide to abuse in my free time. See ya in the next one.